there's no difference. And as such, you're back on the other end of the scale, which is it's relevant. I need a car, but if I can't tell the difference between a brand A and brand B, now the difference is not, of course, in the product itself. The difference is, which made it far challenging for many, many products, and where a lot of companies are. We do some work with that. You know, all the technology companies are realizing this. HP, I mean, not IBM, but HP has learned from Apple that it's not so much about the box. You know, it's very hard to differentiate on one laptop. It's about the entire experience. And, you know, same with most products. So as you get into that, the other part is true, that if your customer service people don't think about their job as being part of the brand, we did a project for an insurance company many years ago. And the CEO wanted us to map the customer journey. Not so much he didn't know it, but he wanted it as an education tool inside, and for us to lecture at their claims department, to realize that when you're on the phone with a claim agent, how they talk to you when you had a car accident, how they behaved, you know, that's where the difference was. So rather than say, all right, yeah, bring the car in, we're open, you know, and the adjuster will be there sometime between, you know, 9 a.m. and 9 p.m., Monday through Friday, just stay home and wait for the adjuster. So rather than the usual, they said, they changed the script. They, you know, Mrs. Jones, are you okay? You know, what was the accident? Everyone okay? Now, what this afternoon, do you have carpool? Do you need a car? Should we get you a car to do carpool? You know, how are you going to handle your transportation? You know, so they changed the dialogue in their customer care, which did more to differentiate that insurance company than, you know, almost anything else. So most companies are looking at the brand as that's a marketing department problem, and the marketing department worries about advertising and branding, but the brand is not about that. You know, R&D is another. You know, if you look at why Procter & Gamble has done such a strong job in the past 5 years, is they redefined that brand building is not about advertising and brand management. It's about the customer experience. Every point of touch, from the way how easy it is to open a Tide bottle, to, you know, how the Tide bottle fits on the shelf, to how easy it is to carry, to what happens if the stain doesn't come out, or you call customer service and you want, you know, they look at the entire experience. Questions, comments? Yes, sir.
Big companies like Dell, like they have this, I mean, they are very bad in services. They have websites like I hate Dell computers.com and something. Another example is like Microsoft, Vista. I mean, like there are websites. So big companies, like how do they manage these websites? I know like it's totally out of their control.
Dell is, you know, there was a whole Dell hell, you know, they went through that about 3 years ago. And they're starting to come out of it. Now, you know, you don't change reputation. It takes a long time to build a brand, and you know, it doesn't take a long time to destroy a brand, you know, one quick kryptonite left. But then it will take a long time to build it back. So Dell has started to address that. But, you know, it was clear for years, you know, because their value proposition was, you know, that's not good. What we do is sell less expensive computers because we have a different manufacturing process, distribution process, so we had a cost advantage. But when that went away, and all of a sudden the Dell computers were not 30% less expensive than the HP or the Lenovo's or whatever else, then all of a sudden there was not a big difference that they could deliver. Two more questions, yeah?
So how do companies now monitor all this chatter that's slowly getting out of their control? So how do you know that there is a YouTube video? You know what I mean? Just
yeah, that's a big thing. There are services that do that for you. There are, you know, tools online that you can alerts and, you know, the stuff that you use. You know, it's getting more and more sophisticated. Whole companies have sprung up that do. It's not that, you know, what's hard to do now is I did an interview with columnist Tom Friedman. And he said, you know what the digital has done is that he's given everyone dog's ears. Everyone hears everything. Now, that's good, and that you can hear everything, but it doesn't diminish the challenge. It's just because one person says this, do I react to it? You know, to try to figure out what's being said versus what's important. You know, to understand the conversation still requires, unfortunately, time. It's not just you can't use a computer program. While that first one I showed you gives you sort of a top line that people are saying HP is boring, we really need to understand who's saying that, Because it could be the people saying HP is boring or people in his class. And for HP, that would be, not great, but not really that important. Because, if you were all IT professionals at Fortune 500 companies and you were saying HP was boring, that would be far worse than if you're students who might, buy another laptop in the next year or might not. So, part of the trick is to both listen to the conversation, hear it, and then sort through, what's important and what's not. Because there are a whole bunch of other dynamics going on where if you, human nature, people tend to complain. People complain very quickly. And so is it really serious, or are they just, is that just one cranky consumer in Seattle? And was that video real, or did he sort of make a game out of it and say, did he unlock it and, then start the video? So, you have to, because everyone wants to be a star, everyone wants their 3 minutes of fame on YouTube. And so you need to, there are companies to do it, you can do it, but there's no denying that a part of any brand person's job today needs to be, I need to spend an hour a day just going out there and listening, seeing what's going on, and then thinking about it as well. So I've enjoyed talking to you. Enjoy the rest of your roast beef sandwiches. And here's the one question for the free club. Think of a question. I was told to make it really hard, but I'll make it pretty easy. What's the first thing I talked about in terms of how to hear what's going on? What tool did I use to see what the conversation's like? Anyone?
Well, you said going back to focus groups in Peoria, Illinois.
Well, there was one online tool I said use this tool.
Tweet scan?
There it is. There's a. Okay. And thank you very much.
I gotta buy him dinner.
Nice.